Hey folks, Dr. Brian L. Carpenter here, and in less than 5 minutes, if I talk really fast, I'm going to share with you my top 5 super easy to follow tips, 92.378% guaranteed to help you lose your charter like the more than 3,700 boards that did so between 1999 and 2017. As I've noted in some of my other videos and books, this is a 41% failure rate. Of course, I can't really, guarantee that these 5 tips will cause your school to collapse, but based on my experience as a consultant in the charter school sector since 2005, I can say with some confidence they will go a long way in laying the groundwork for revocation or non-renewal. Here we go. Tip number 5 for losing your charter. Never waste time pursuing board training, especially training that explains the differences between governing a school and managing one. Instead, just do like most of the boards of those 3,700 schools did and co-manage your school, but call it governance. Now, here are 2 techniques to help your board co-manage the school. First, create a slew of board committees and give each of them authority to make management decisions or at least management recommendations. At a minimum, you're going to want an HR committee, a finance committee, a facilities committee, a curriculum committee, and an executive committee to overrule the other committees. Second, closely related to creating committees to co-manage the school, make the school leader constantly seek the board's permission to do their job. For example, make them get board approval for every staffing decision, every fundraising, every operational procedure, and anything else you can think of. Hey, by the way, it's also a really good practice to second guess your school leader in public from time to time. This will let your stakeholders know who's really in charge, which is really useful for anyone who might be inclined to, divide and conquer to get what they want. Tip number 4, this one's super easy to follow. Allow all stakeholders to bypass the school leader with any concern or complaint. Now, here's a technique that you can use to supercharge this particular tip. Appoint one board member to serve as a conduit between the board and the faculty and staff. This person should visit campus as frequently as possible, preferably several times a week, and engage in confidential conversations in which faculty and staff are free to undermine the school leader and say anything they want. That board member can then bring those comments back to the board and present them, of course, anonymously, thereby putting the school leader in a completely untenable position. By the way, if you're a board chair, you can actually help facilitate this process too. Once you've concluded the agenda in any given meeting, instead of declaring the meeting adjourned, as would be proper with parliamentary procedure, ask everyone if anyone has anything else. This opens the way to toss parliamentary procedure right out the window and make what follows a free-for-all, although you may find your meetings will run a bit long, but as long as your board members don't mind crawling home after midnight, this shouldn't be a problem. Tip number 3. This is one of my favorites as a certified fraud examiner. When exercising financial oversight as a board, never discuss financial controls. Just assume that board members as check signers is the only control you need and that fraud would never happen in your school. Rather than wasting time making sure that the school's money is being, safeguarded against fraud, waste, and abuse through adherence to proper financial controls, spend time planning fundraisers. This will make your meetings feel productive, and it'll get your board members really excited because it feels like a tangible way to be really involved without having to actually do the hard work of carefully reviewing a monthly income statement, balance sheet, and source documents such as bank statements and credit card statements, much less reviewing the wording in financial controls to make sure that they work. Tip number 2, spend as much time in board meetings deliberating such things as student uniforms, sock colors, school colors, fundraising, grass cutting, school lunch menus, holiday calendars, and all that other stuff that research has shown again and again really does explain school success. And finally, my number 1 tip to help you lose your charter, can I get a drum roll, please? Build a revolving door to the school leader's office. By this, I mean your board should churn through as many school leaders in as short a time as possible. 1 per year is a great start, although I have met boards where they've gone through like 5 leaders in 3 years or 5 leaders in 2 years. Now, that's what I call turnover. There's lots of ways to create this kind of turnover, but the simplest thing I can recommend is just follow the other 4 tips in this video. Bottom line here is don't fall for the advice that a school leader can only be as successful as his or her board allows them to be. Otherwise, your board might have to take some of the blame for churning through leaders and actually causing poor performance in the school. Okay, there you go. My top 5 super easy to follow tips, 92.378% guaranteed to help you lose your charter. Of course, if your board would rather position its charter for renewal, I suppose you could do the opposite. If that's the case, check out the free handout below. Until next time, I'm Dr. Brian L. Carpenter.